Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're making Afang soup. Afang soup is one of my top 3 favorite soups of all times. I went to school in the University of Calabar in Nigeria and I ate this soup almost every day while I was there. And I also learned how to make it from a small restaurant just very close to my apartment. Or should I say, yeah, my apartment in Calabar. So today I'll be sharing with you an authentic version or style on how to make afang. So this is the Calabar version of making afang soup. This soup is so good. It is full of vitamins and it is one of the healthiest soups in Nigeria. So let me show you how to make it. Now, what makes this soup authentic is the use of shelled periwinkles. Don't worry, I know a lot of people typically tend to use the unshelled or unshelled ones. However, I'm going to show you how to use the shelled ones, how to clean it, and how to use it in your soup. These things, these little babies are alive, so they keep moving in the bowl. So just be careful and keep a watchful eye on it. They're just like typically like snails. So here's what you have to do. Use the other side of your knife, the blunt side of your knife, and put the periwinkle on your chopping board. I advise you not to use a chopping board because this thing will damage your chopping board, but just for the visual representation of how to clean it, I'm using my chopping board to show you how. So place it on your chopping board and use the other side of your knife and break the tail part of it, and also turn it around to the top or to the head side of it, and cut that out as well, just like so. And it's done. That's just it. You can cut it down some more towards the tail part of it, just so that you make sure that you've gotten out the dirt part of it. Now, in cutting this or in breaking this, you need to understand that the head part of it, there's a softer side and then the harder side of it. So towards the opening of the top part of it is where you should aim to break apart. Just a little goes a long way, and that's it. Now, once you have succeeded in cutting both the tail and the head part of it, go ahead and put that into a bowl. I mean, this is just the first step of the cleaning process, so it's a bit tedious, and I think that that's one of the reasons why a lot of people just don't like to use shelled periwinkle. They prefer to use the unshelled ones. But in order to make an authentic version of afang soup, we're using the shelled periwinkles. Every now and again, I just typically go in with my pestle just to break open the head part of it. Again, please don't use your chopping board. You can do this outside your kitchen. You can do this on the floor, on a concrete floor. That works better. And if you have a butcher's knife, that also works, so you don't damage your chef's knife. Now, once you're done cutting the tail and the head part of it, add everything to a bowl and put in some water. I haven't washed this at all. This is straight from the market, so it's muddy, it's sandy, it's dirty, so we're gonna wash it and clean it up. So you typically just gather them in between your palm and just rub it against each other. That way the dirt sort of come off. See how dirty that water looks. Now toss that water aside, put them back into a bowl, add some more water. Repeat this between 7 to 10 times. I like to do this as many times as I possibly can in order to get rid of all the dirt and all the sand, all the mud or whatever. Now, if you think that we're done cleaning our periwinkle, we have not even started yet. This is just the first step. I know by now you think, oh, okay, it's clean, it's good to be used. No. Drain that water, put it back in a bowl. Now get a smaller bowl that has a cover, just like so. Now take your periwinkle. I suggest that you do this in small batches, because the batch I'm using is really small, so this works. Put that into the periwinkle into a bowl and then add some salt to it. Make sure you add enough salt. Now, the reason why I'm saying make sure you add enough salt is if you know when you go to the market and you buy unshelled periwinkles, they're usually salty. Now add some water, cover the bowl, and shake this thing as vigorous as you can. Shake, 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 shake. So what we're trying to do is to penetrate into the shell to get out all the dirt, all the debris, the poop, all the every that it's hidden inside the shell. Now I want you to do this as many times as possible. See, I told you it is still as dirty as whatever. So if you thought that the first step was all that you had to do, nah, you still need to do this step. I know I like to call Afang soup a soup that, it's a labor of love kind of soup. So it requires a lot of effort, it requires a lot of steps, it requires a lot of attention to details. Now I'd advise that you do this again between 7 to 10 times just to make sure that the water runs clear, and you've cleaned it as much as you've cleaned it properly, not as much as possible, that you've cleaned it properly. So do this between 7 to 10 times. Now once the water runs clear, go ahead and add the periwinkle into a pot, just like so. And once you've added that into a pot, go ahead and add some water and cover that up and cook this for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now once that's cooked, go ahead and strain that and give it a good rinse. I like to rinse this again in a bowl for about 3 or 4 times, and if I'm not ready to use it at the time, I store it up in the fridge until I'm ready to use. However, for the sake of this video, we're using this bad boy today. Look at how clean this looks. It is clean, it looks fresh, it looks like something that that should be in a museum. Anyway, let's prep the rest of the ingredients. Now in order to make an authentic Afang soup Calabar style, you need to pound your pepper. Yes, pound your pepper. That's how I was taught. That's how Imabong taught me. You need to pound your pepper and set that aside. Then of course we all know that we need to pound our Afang leaves. So this is the Afang leaf. The Afang leaf is otherwise known as okazi leaf. Next up, chop up your water leaf. Your water leaf needs to be cut as thinly as possible. Now after cutting that, go ahead and wash it and drain it. Leave it in a sieve until you're ready to use your water leaf. Now let's get cooking. Now in order to cook, I'm using goat meat for this recipe. I really love to use goat meat for Afang soup, but you can use any meat of your choosing. You can use beef, you can use cow leg, whichever part of beef you want to use or cow you want to use. So I'm using goat meat. I'm using partly cooked shaki. So I'm going in with some salt, with some the pepper that I pounded earlier, which is a combination of Scotch bonnet peppers and habaneros. Habaneros tend to pair really well with Nigerian soup, so use that. They sort of tend to give a sweet flavor profile to your Nigerian soups. They really pair well with Nigerian soups. I'm also using Knorr seasoning cubes. I'm using just 2, and then I have cleaned my cow skin, which is Kpomo. I'll go ahead and add that as well. And then go ahead and cook this on low heat without water. Just stir everything to combine. Don't worry about the seasoning cube. It will dissolve as the heat penetrates the pot and the meat secretes its juice. I'd like to point out that it's important for you to cook your meat without water. The beginning stage of cooking, that way it brings out its liquid and cooks in its own juice. It makes for a tastier pot of soup. Now once that's cooked and the water has come out, I will go ahead and add my periwinkles at this time, and then go ahead and start to add my seasoning. One of the important things to do when you're making Afang soup or any soup at all is to season your stock or your pot of soup in stages. So if you are supposed to use 1 cup of crayfish, add a 1/4 cup now, then add another one later, add another quarter cup, and add another quarter cup. So add them in different stages. So I've gone ahead to add some crayfish, I've gone ahead to add some palm oil, I've gone ahead to add my dry fish and stockfish, which have been thoroughly cleaned, washed, and all that, and deboned, really, yeah, because I don't want any bone here. I'll go ahead and stir that to combine, just like so, and of course taste in order to adjust the seasoning. Again, like I said, I typically like to season my stock or my soup in stages, so little additions of seasoning, peppers, crayfish, salt, rather than adding everything at once. No, I like to season them in stages. So I've gone ahead to add some more pepper, because again, afang soup requires a ton of pepper. Even when you think that the pepper is not enough, just allow it to cook for a little while, and then you'll find out that the pepper sort of mellows down. So it requires a lot of pepper. I went ahead and added some salt, allowed that to cook for a bit, and also to allow the liquid reduce a lot. You really don't need water to cook or stock to cook afang soup, and I'll show you why. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add the water leaf that has been sitting in my sieve after washing it. So I'll go ahead and add some pepper, I'll go ahead and add some crayfish, and then I'll go ahead and add my water leaf. Again, like I said, I am seasoning my soup in stages. I'm not adding everything at once, I'm seasoning in stages. So like I said, if I'm using 1 cup of crayfish, I like to add it in quarters. So a quarter cup of crayfish now, a quarter cup when I'm ready to add my water leaf, a quarter cup after the water leaf has cooked, just like so, just to build flavor upon flavor upon flavor upon flavor. Now I'm going ahead to stir that. I know a lot of people say, oh, don't stir it because it has this slime. Afang soup needs that slime, okay? So it needs that slime, not too much, but then the heat typically kills the slime of the water leaf. So I'm going ahead to stir that to combine. Like I said, you don't need water to cook afang soup because the water leaf is going to draw out a lot of water, which is the reason why you need to wash your water leaf early, leave it in a sieve in order for it to drain out all that excess liquid that is there, and the only thing that you have is just the water from the water leaf. After all, that's why it's called water leaf, because it excretes a lot of water. So I added some salt, covered that to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes, and when I uncovered it, voila, there's water, a lot of water there, and that's just all the liquid you need for this soup. I'm going ahead to add my pounded afang soup, which is my okazi leaf. Like I said, I wanted this soup to have texture, so I didn't pound my okazi leaf until it was smooth. I wanted it to have texture. I wanted to chew some of that okazi leaf when I'm eating it and all. So once I add my okazi leaf, I typically kill the heat I typically kill the heat, as in I stop cooking the soup entirely. A lot of people keep cooking the soup, but that's not right. The moment you add your afang soup, kill the heat. That's the authentic way to cook it. Another thing that I also want to mention is I also love this version of killing the heat, because if you're someone like me, and for the sake of this video, I intend to pack this and eat it in batches throughout the week. It's best to kill the heat immediately so that I don't overcook the vegetables. Now, another thing I also like to do is I like to add my afang leaves in batches. The first batch, I typically treat afang soup the same way I treat eforiro. So I add it in batches so that the vegetables are bright green, and again, the heat of the soup will typically cook the afang leaves anyway, so you don't typically need to continue to cook the soup. So just kill the heat, stir it, make sure that it has completely combined, and your afang soup is ready. Our afang soup is ready. Doesn't this look absolutely divine? It is beautiful. It looks so good. Afang soup is such a healthy soup to eat, I know that a lot of people tend to say, oh, you need to add, palm oil towards the tail end of it. I don't do that. I typically add all the oil that I intend to use at the beginning stage, so that I don't get to add more oil here. So even without adding that excess oil, or adding the later adding the second half of the oil at this point, my soup looks vibrant, it looks amazing, it is delicious, it smells really funky, it smells really good, it smells so amazing, and I can't wait to dig into it. Again, I cooked my afang soup this way because I don't want to overcook the vegetables on this very day, because I'm going to reheat them throughout the week, and as long as it stays in my freezer. So that's it. I hope that you liked my version of making authentic afang soup, and I hope that you give this a try. Now, if you've watched my video to this point, it means that you absolutely loved this video. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and share it with your family and friends. This is the way Imabong taught me how to make afang, and I haven't stopped making it this way. I hope that you guys like the fact that I am sharing a Nigerian soup on my page. I intend to share more of this in the coming weeks, or more Nigerian meals in the coming weeks. And that's it from me. I'll see you in my next video, but don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, like, and share with your friends. And until next time, as always, I love you, Munchos.